On April 18, 2025, Jersey City residents were told a very clean story. The prior administration introduced a fiscal year 2026 budget with a zero increase in the municipal tax rate. Not a small increase, not a delayed increase, zero. The release framed it as another year of strong fiscal management. That is Public Record A. Now move the calendar forward. The next administration's 2026 budget materials described a $255 million inherited gap. $255 million. That is Public Record B. So before anybody asks us to pick a side, we have to ask the basic taxpayer question: how can both of those public messages be true? A zero increase budget does not automatically mean the city was healthy. Sometimes it means costs were controlled. Sometimes it means revenue grew. Sometimes it means a budget used one-time money. Sometimes it means bills were delayed, obligations were pushed forward, or the real cost was not explained to the public until later. So let us slow down and separate the words. When politicians say the municipal tax rate is flat, they are talking about one piece of the property tax bill. That does not mean every household pays the same amount forever. Your bill can still change because of assessments, school taxes, county taxes, abatements rolling on or off, debt, and the total levy needed to run the city. And when a budget is called balanced, that does not automatically mean the government is financially healthy. A budget can be balanced with recurring revenue. It can also be balanced with temporary help, borrowed money, delayed payments, reserves, or assumptions that do not repeat next year. That is the difference taxpayers need to understand. A responsible budget should tell you not just whether the numbers add up today, but whether the same problem comes back tomorrow. That is why this story is not just about a tax increase. It is about timing, it is about language, and it is about who gets stuck with the bill when political language meets accounting reality. The 2026 budget materials say the city had to close the gap with three big moves: more than $58 million in operating cuts, $120 million in state support, described as a $105 million loan plus $15 million in direct aid, and roughly $75 million in new annual revenue from the municipal tax rate increase and growth in ratables. That is the part residents feel. But the part that deserves the loudest pause is this: the city says about $109 million reflects unpaid or deferred obligations. That phrase sounds technical, so here is the kitchen table version. If a household skips a bill, the bill does not disappear. If a business delays a vendor, the vendor still wants to be paid. If a city pushes obligations forward, the next budget may have to clean up what the last budget left behind. That is why deferred obligations matter. They are not just accounting dust, they are tomorrow's taxpayer pressure. In plain English, that means some bills did not disappear, they moved. And when a bill moves from one administration's message to the next administration's budget, the public deserves more than slogans. The public deserves an audit trail. Who knew what? When did they know it? Which bills were already due? Which costs were recurring? Which revenues were one-time? Which choices were responsible budgeting? And which choices were public relations? And here's another reason this matters. When residents hear zero tax increase, they may think the city is stable. When bond markets, auditors, or the next administration see unpaid bills and recurring shortfalls, they may see something else entirely. That gap between public messaging and financial reality is where trust breaks. And once trust breaks, every future tax bill feels suspicious. That is not cynicism. That is what happens when people are asked to pay for decisions they did not understand, could not see, and did not vote on with full information. To be clear, a contradiction is not a conviction. This episode is not saying a crime happened, but when one record tells residents the city is holding the line, and the next record says the city inherited a historic gap, taxpayers have every right to say, run that back, because public finance has a language. Surplus does not always mean spare money. A flat tax rate does not always mean a lower bill. A balanced budget does not always mean every obligation was honestly explained. And a deferred bill is still a bill. For this series, that is the standard. We are not here to repeat press releases. We are not here to protect political brands. And we are not here to accuse people without receipts. We are here to put the records next to each other and ask the questions taxpayers would ask if the meeting language was translated into plain English. That is the lesson underneath this entire series. If you do not understand the language of property, taxes, assessments, credit, ownership, and development deals, somebody else gets to explain your future after the bill arrives. That is why I wrote Pride, Property, and Power. Pride in a place is not the same thing as equity in that place. The book and workbook are a field guide for learning the language before it is used against you. Next, we keep following the receipts, the old budgets, the unpaid bills, the abatements, the audits, the council votes, the development deals, because if the public is paying the bill, the public deserves the receipts.